Welcome, good viewers, to the S&M show.
Welcome.
Okay,
Sawadee krapom. Buenas tardes.
it's the Frankenstein, the Frankenstein intro. Okay, so what's with the mask?
Oh,
You're just wearing a mask.
well,
Just to be COVID, representing COVID.
no. It's well.
Power to the mask.
That's for you. Um, no. What happened is I got tired of feeling facial hair on my face, and I was encouraged to shave it. I always liked the look of a beard. I've grown many over the years, but then I usually tend to shave them because I get tired of the itch or the feel. This one wasn't itching, and I shaved it over the weekend. And I looked at my photos and I looked in the mirror and I was just disgusted. I was repulsed.
Okay,
I find myself hideous without a beard, and I'm ashamed to be seen in public
yeah,
without it.
you need the beard to exist.
I need the beard to feel less ugly, not handsome, just less ugly.
Sort of like my hair, except it's never coming back.
Well, I was wondering why you weren't wearing your cap today.
Yeah,
Well, it's the beard thing now is kind of like I feel naked without it. And most of my life has been clean shaven, but I really like that last beard. And now it's kind of like I'm worried if I go out in public, women are gonna like cover their children's eyes and say, "Don't look, Johnny, don't look. He's hideous. He's hideous."
yeah, I don't think so. You're gonna wear it the whole time?
Um, yeah, I can breathe okay. You know,
Okay,
I
that's
don't
all
know.
right with me.
I don't know. It makes me feel powerful. You you know. Did you ever notice, though, talking about masks? Did you ever notice how, especially here in Asia, because of the eyes, that's a subjective thing, of course, but I find a lot of women when they wear the mask, they look, you look at the eyes and they look very pretty.
Oh, and then they take the mask off.
Well, some still are pretty, but then they take the mask off and it's like, oh
Medu-
God, oh God, oh God, oh God, put it back on. Oh God, oh Jesus, put it. Oh God, put it back. You know,
it's like Medusa. It's like you
it's
just saw the Medusa
I don't
with
know.
the
It's
snakes coming off of
well,
her.
except they're coming out of the mouth.
Yeah, well, same thing.
The
It's like the
eyes
mask
are
comes
nice.
off and the snakes pop
The
out of
eyes are
everywhere.
nice, and then the mask comes off. It's like, oh God, my eyes are bleeding. You know, I'm
Yeah.
sure some women have said the same about me.
Ah,
I go to the mall to eat, take the mask off, and he's like, oh God, he's hideous. At least wear a fucking beard. Something like that.
probably.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
I'm
I'm
not sure
not
what.
clear, Markley, my
Yeah,
chop.
I'm not sure what Thai women think. So I'm
Think?
even married to one, but I have no idea how their thought process works. So
I have no further
yeah,
comments. Amoeba? It's going to be hard to drink coffee. I guess I will
I'm
have to take
I'm
it off.
sort of leaning from amoeba towards paramecium, which for those of you that don't know the
Cyanobacteria?
distinction, on
Cyanobacteria,
check it
maybe?
out on Wikipedia, Google it. Yeah. So
All right, I'm going to
and
take the mask off because I have coffee in
uh,
front of me. So,
you can't drink the coffee with the mask
no,
on.
not today.
Well, today we haven't even said what we're talking about to our viewers. We're talking about activities that you can do in Thailand. There seems to be a commonality throughout Thailand uh, of what you can do. So, what activities have you done here?
Oh, man. Some I've done extensively for 10 years, and some I've only done partly when I joined groups. Let's see. Well, I won't. What have I done? Let's see. I've done motorcycling. Obviously, I'm a motorcyclist, so I've done lots of that. Hiking. I've joined hiking groups. Um, I have done some kayaking, but that was in Laos.
Are the hikes and treks here the same? Are you calling those the same thing?
I,
Like, is a hike the same as a
I would
trek?
call a hike a trek. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Why not? But there's
Because I see them here referred mostly as treks.
I think a trek is when you're with an official guide.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's just what they're calling it.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, I don't think there's anything official that makes that distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah, trekking is basically if you go with an organized paid group, that's trekking.
Okay.
And then there's hiking groups that you can find in Facebook, not just in Chiang Mai, but in other parts of the country. There's hikes you can do on your own in Koh Phangan, for example, and Koh Samui. So it's just about anywhere outside of Bangkok you can hike.
Yeah, I've seen the hiking groups on Facebook. So
Hiking, what else have I done? There's bicycle groups, there's bicycle tours. I haven't done that in groups, but I've done it with friends, some fairly long bike rides.
a friend of mine in HuaHin has a bicycle company, a touring company, and
Right.
they do. I think they do local HuaHin tours as well as long Thailand tours, like HuaHin to Phuket.
Well, that's a long tour.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, they'll do 50 to 100 miles a day.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's marathons that are organized. There's running groups. Um, I don't do a lot of group stuff. I tend to either go by myself or I've done half marathon length running, but I never did it with anyone. I just do it on my own,
Yeah.
or I used to. Um, but there are groups for that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
Is there any sort of like
I mean, there's
this would be
martial
more
arts.
tours, but ATV tours?
There are ATV tours, but that's more of a touristy thing. I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm talking activities, I mean you're not necessarily going with a paid group and an official tour guide, and you're not
Oh, right.
or
Okay.
some organization that makes a profit renting from you. These are just expats or Thai people that are organizing these groups, usually on Facebook or some other means. The marathons are kind of 50-50. Some of them are for profit and others are, for some kind of charity purpose. But
Right.
there are groups of just running groups that are just organized by some individual.
Huh.
The ATV things, you have to go to some kind of tour company and they may or may not have a tour guide but you have to rent the vehicles for sure.
We still probably should mention, we don't have to go into it, but we should still mention the paid stuff, the tourist stuff, because it's an activity.
It's an activity,
And you
yeah.
don't know if people listening to this are listening to stay in Thailand or just to come visit.
We can mention it. I mean, I don't really have much experience with those. I have because most of these activities are available for free if you know the right people or if you just do them yourself. So
Right, but
we can mention them, but I don't.
I mean, for example, throughout Thailand, there are um, snake shows.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't when I say activity, I mean a physical activity where you're doing something
It's an
physical.
activity, though.
It's a show. I wouldn't call
Well,
it
it's a show. I mean,
Sure, there's snake shows, there's crocodile shows,
what
there's
it's a physical place that you go to and you get picked up, you get brought to it, you get brought back. I just sort of that's not the activities that you're talking
no,
about.
no. There's monkey shows too.
So you got to be a little bit careful about the groups that you join, or you have to
Yeah.
join a group, see if you like it. If not, get out of it. Find another group. That's the thing is, it's
Yeah,
not.
and I don't want to just focus on that group.
Yeah.
I think it can apply to other groups as
Yeah.
well with other people.
There's not just one hiking group in Thailand or in Chiang Mai.
No.
There's multiple groups for everything. So
And it doesn't have to just be hiking. I've
yeah,
seen
of course.
some similar issues in some of the language exchange groups. That's a
Yeah.
quote unquote activity. There's quite a few language exchanges in Chiang Mai and in Bangkok.
Yeah.
More
Well,
activities.
we just looked at a video from another YouTuber that, talked about the foreigners and how, foreigners don't get along and they need to get along and, you know, uh,
That is a rant for another day.
and yeah, it's to some extent, I don't know. I don't know how true it is, but to some extent it might be a little true.
On the top of activities, there's lots of dancing, Latin dance. There's
Yes.
not just here, but in Bangkok as well. There's salsa, bachata, merengue. Me having lived in Latin America, I quite like the merengue and the bachata. There's something called kizomba. I've never done that.
Isn't merengue the white stuff on top of a lemon pie? Oh, that's meringue.
That's meringue. Merengue
Spelled the same,
is
isn't
an
it?
easy dance. Um, there's kizomba. There's tango. They've got groups for
They do
all of
have
that
they do
here
have
in Chiang
dance
Mai,
groups, yeah. Oh,
and
in Chiang Mai.
all of those are in Chiang Mai. In
Okay.
fact, there's multiple groups for all of these different
Yes.
dances. We can link to some of them in the description.
Yeah, there's restaurant groups as well. We were talking about the guys that go to restaurants. I know that there's groups that meet and go to different restaurants to try different restaurants, foodies, foodie groups. Um, what other kind of group activities are
There's
there?
yoga groups.
Yoga.
There's free yoga in the park
Yeah.
at Wat Khad Park here in Chiang Mai.
Ah,
I'm sure Bangkok must have
nice.
something. Free yoga. There's meditation in the park, so you can join a group and meditate.
Ah, I did see. I saw something that I thought was pretty cool was arts and crafts groups.
Yeah, there's
So
that
where
too.
they'll do clay, what do you clay making or pottery throwing and stuff like that. So
I'd like to join one of those. I haven't done that yet.
I've done pottery. It's fun. Um, you got to have all the stuff and
There's Thai cooking classes too.
Thai cooking
But
classes.
that's
But
that's
that's not really a group.
well, it's not really an activity group thing. You can't just do that for free. You have to pay
Yeah.
some or
And
individual
now
or
we're
some
into the
school.
paid stuff that we
Well,
didn't want
that's
to
okay.
talk about. So
Yeah, but we can well, I still consider that a bit different from the guided tour type things
yeah,
because that's
I think
different.
there's. I think also, if I remember correctly, a while back, I came across a paintball group
Mm,
where they do paintball here. There's go-karting. It's a paid
yes.
activity, but I imagine you could get together as a group and, do a racing, sort of like a little miniature go-kart F1, where you kept your own stats and stuff like that in the
There's
group.
shooting ranges. There's one in
Yes.
Mae Rim, which
Yeah.
is near the ATV place. I think it's the same place actually.
Yeah. There's shooting,
And there's one
snakes up there,
there's
elephants,
another one. I
tigers.
can't remember where it is,
Oh
but
my.
there's one at the 700-year stadium, which is a fitness center.
There is, yeah,
And
there's a fitness center at 700.
that's much cheaper than the ATV place, and I've done that. So a
Yeah.
foreigner here cannot own a weapon, but you can go to a shooting range
Yeah.
and pay by the hour or what
I
have
have
you.
a gun.
You're not allowed as a foreigner to own weapons here.
Well, it's not technically a gun.
BB gun or a
No, it's an
pellet gun?
aluminum baseball bat that I call the gun.
Oh, well, that's just fucked up. But anyway,
I like the sound it makes when you hit someone. It's kind of a combination of a tink from the aluminum and a thud from it hitting someone.
that is equally bizarre.
No, I do have a baseball bat though that we keep for home protection. But I mean, my house is like Fort Knox anyway. It's not a challenge for anybody that knows me or knows where I live. So don't come or I'll have to use my gun. So
Okay, moving right along.
yeah, no, you're not allowed to own. You're not allowed to own guns here. You
As a
can,
foreigner,
as a foreigner,
Thais can.
you can though buy a BB gun,
Yes.
an airsoft gun, a paintball gun.
Yes.
But any sort of powder-driven ballistic weapon is a no-no for foreigners. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't have any guns. My wife doesn't have a gun. She doesn't want to get one. So, but yeah, there's all sorts of. I mean, it's like any other country. If it's legal, there's probably going to be an activity group for it. And a lot of the
And
activity
even if
groups,
it's not legal.
yeah, that too. I'm sure soon, with the passing of the new law, there'll be cannabis groups, cannabis growing groups coming up that'll give you hints and tips
That would
on.
be a fun activity. Let's watch cannabis grow.
Well, it'll be tints on tints. It'll be hints and tips. It'll be tints if you mix them together. Tints. Uh, there's an N in there. So that would give you tips on growing, weed and how to maximize the growth of your buds and stuff. So weed cultivation and weed smoking could both be activity groups. Uh, I'm sure that they will be. They
Well,
probably.
so shooting heroin then. I mean, if you're gonna
Well, it's
call
not
that an
legal.
activity.
I don't know
No,
that
I
it's
didn't say it was
illegal.
legal.
And certainly after you've
Maybe it
shut
should.
up, are you really going to be able to type after you're all
Well, that's
set up
irrelevant. I
on
mean, if smoking weed's an activity, then shooting heroin's an activity.
Well,
You know.
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's an activity, but I don't think it's actually supported by the law here. In fact,
Oh no,
I'm
the
100% sure
shooting
heroin is
heroin.
not.
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
If you find it as an activity group, good luck. So you may find it. You may soon be in jail. um,
May.
yeah.
I
No,
think
you
that's a
will.
given. That's a
You
given.
will. I mean, they arrest people for speed pills, although they're bringing them in here by like the 100,000, pill bales or bags of it. But yeah, drugs here is taken very seriously. So for the most part, I guess that depends how much money you have to. But we won't go into that. So what other activities are there? I can't really think of.
Oh, yes. There's all sorts of water sports that you can do in the south.
Yeah,
Obviously, you're not going to go scuba diving here in Chiang Mai, but there's scuba diving, there's windsurfing,
yeah,
there's parasailing, there's jet skiing.
yes,
Again, the jet skiing is kind of like the ATVs. You have to go to a company and rent them, and you may
sure,
or may not need an instructor. I don't know how that works. There's lots of scuba diving down in Koh Phangan, Phuket, Koh Tao, a lot of the other islands. So scuba is very big here. There's
yes.
lots of scuba
Even
schools.
snorkeling.
Snorkeling as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, that you don't really need, you know,
I mean it's an offshoot
instruction
of
for, right?
no, no,
You just get
it's
a
an
snorkel
offshoot
and a mask
of
and you go.
but it's sort of like a location kind of thing, just like the scuba
Location
diving.
wise, some of the boat tours actually have snorkeling and they'll lend you the equipment.
Yeah,
Some of
I've
the
I've been on those.
I don't know about other places, but I know for sure Koh Phangan, some of the places will actually, some of the restaurants and resorts will actually rent you snorkeling
Yeah,
equipment.
and anybody that hasn't been here, some of the clearest, cleanest, bluest water in the world is here in the south,
I have
in the
heard there's much
islands.
better places. It's not bad. It's
I
not
don't
bad,
know. I've
but I've
been
heard there's much better.
I've been around around the world, and man, it's pretty darn clear. I mean I've been in 50 feet of water where you can see to the bottom and see everything on the bottom,
On a good
and
day, yes.
see
I've done that,
and see
certainly.
fishing, see out by Krabi. Wow, it's beautiful. Sailboating, I believe there's certainly fishing. We didn't talk about
Hmm.
fishing. Fishing is an activity that I believe here, if you got together as a group, you could actually rent a boat to go out because they do charters for people, and I have gone fishing here. What other activities can you do? I think we've pretty much
Well, we haven't
hit
covered
them all.
everything, but we've given a fair
Yeah,
list.
there's a good, and if you have an activity, a serious activity, drop us an email or a comment.
Is what about common? But it's
No, no, comment. I said
oh,
I was continuing my thought
oh,
about dropping us an email or a comment.
or common.
Yeah, so I think that's it, huh? Is there any other activities to talk about? Anything about activities? Any
Boozing,
other great
maybe boozing
stories?
and whoring, maybe.
Oh, you know what? Another one I did just think of. Um, I don't know. Do they do skydiving here?
I believe
Is
they
there a
do.
skydiving
I
group?
think there is something in Bangkok actually.
Is there?
Yes,
Because I've actually considered.
I've seen ultralight vehicles here, and
Yeah.
there's hot ballooning. I've seen that out in
Oh
Mae
yeah,
Rim.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
never done. I'd
yeah.
like to do that one of these days.
So I mean, since I'm no longer actually flying the plane, I've considered jumping out of it.
I would do that.
Yeah. So.
There's a couple of people I'd like to invite without a parachute, of course.
Yeah.
But I'd like,
I. Anything else that we want to talk about?
I'm sure we'll think of it as soon as we shut off the camera.
Yeah, probably. We put it on another one. So you're into the motorcycling. Are you part of any groups, motorcycling groups?
I'm actually signed up for a number of Facebook groups, and I do get invites. At least three in Chiang Mai. There's UnSanctioned Riders. There's Krusty Riders. and there's another one
Krusty
called
Riders.
the um, Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. I think there's another group, the word gentleman in there.
You got to be like over 80 or something.
Most of the riders are pretty old and
You got to
bearded.
stop
Um,
every 30 minutes for
I'm subscribed to those groups. I'm subscribed to
potty
a group in
breaks.
HuaHin. I'm subscribed to a group in somewhere in Isan. The weird thing is I'm a bit of a lone wolf, so I ride almost always alone or with one friend. I get the invites. I'm part of these groups. I have never in all the years joined them. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I prefer to do it on my own. I have organized a group once. Four of us went, and I organized that through the north. We did a tour of Payao and Chiang Rai, and we went up to Puchifa, and we went up. Yeah, we came back to Chiang Mai. So what was it Payao, Chiang Rai, yeah, and Chiang Kong, and so on. But that was the biggest group I've ever gone with, and I
yeah,
organized it. I might join one day, but it's kind of like you said, or they're over. A lot of them are, I'm not young, but they're quite a bit older than me, and I just don't think I'd have that much in common with them.
yeah.
Although I do
The-
appreciate the invites. This kind of activity, whether you do it in a group or alone, there's all sorts of wonderful places in Thailand where you can do it. I even know people in Bangkok who do touring. I would hate to ride a motorcycle through Bangkok. I've never done it, and I have no desire to. But you can do it. There's
yeah, the traffic's
Isan. Isan is
horrendous.
full of wonderful mountainous
Oh yeah,
areas, especially Leh,
yeah.
Leh province. I've been through there. The whole north is fantastic for it.
I mean, there's
Um,
just all sorts of
and parts
cool
of the
stuff
south.
up there.
There's
Yeah,
motorcycling down in Phuket and Suratani and all the Pangan. That whole area is wonderful for motorcycling as
yeah.
well. I've done it.
I mean, and there's things to see as well as just riding. There's things to
Oh yeah,
see.
yeah.
Um, Up in Isan, you've got Pu Prabhat. Pu Prabhat. It's ancient Thai man, and some of the I don't want to say Stonehenge because they're not that big, but some of these rock
Mm.
structures that you look at and you go, how the hell did they do that? It's on a mountain, and there'll be like two rocks supporting a third rock as a cap, and you're like, whoa, with drawings and stuff inside the rocks, um, and the mountain is actually more of a climb up to a cliff to a sheer valley. So the valley used to have some sort of glacial structure in it, millions of years ago. Just fascinating stuff. And, the dinosaurs that we've talked before, Puyan, which is a dinosaur city, is a excavation where they've excavated dinosaur bones that you can go up and see. They've got really nice structures around the bones. You can't go and touch them because, and then museums, there's tons of museums here, although I don't know if there's organized museum trips. But there are museums here. Chiang Mai has a museum. I'm sure Bangkok has
Bangkok
a
has a
number of them.
wonderful museum, the
Yeah.
Erawan Museum,
Okay.
which is
Oh, right near Erewhon Plaza.
no,
Not
it's
different.
no, it's like
Same name,
I can't
different
remember
different
exactly
area.
where it is in town, but you'll see this gigantic elephant statue, which I think has three elephant heads on it.
Ah, okay.
It's out in the boondocks somewhere, and that's a nice museum.
Hmm.
I've been in there. It's actually an elephant. You go inside the elephant, and it's in there. It's nothing. It's not in town where the plazas are.
Yeah.
Um, it's not just outdoorsy stuff. I mean, I last trip I took down to Suratani, I stopped through Chumpon and Nakhon Sawan and Chainat. And there's a nice dam in Chainat. There's a dam with a ferry in Uttaradit that you can, if the water's level is high enough, you can take the ferry. I've done that a few times. There's a huge, the Queen Sirikit Dam in Uttaradit as well is a nice place. There's a couple of dams here in Chiang Mai that you can go to. I've even done one by bicycle. That was about a 100-kilometer ride that way,
Yeah.
up and
There's a
back.
dam in
And
Saraburi.
there's a wonderful aquarium down in I believe it was it was either Nakhon Sawan or Chainat, and I stopped in there on that same trip.
Hmm.
So I got diverted. I ended up staying in towns I had no plans to stay in because I went and checked out a dam, or I went and checked out an aquarium, or I went and checked out a temple, or what have you.
Yeah. Well, let's just say that if there's no lack of activities here.
No. especially outdoors activities.
There's no reason that you have to be locked in your house because there's nothing to do. There are tons of things to do here. Some you do have to pay for. Um, some of them, a lot of them are free.
There's a nightlife. It's okay, but if you want to compare it to other cities in Thailand, especially
Yeah,
Bangkok, this is by comparison,
yeah.
no.
I would say that the majority of nightlife things here are PG rated, as opposed to R or higher. If you're familiar
PG
with the
rated
movie
by
scales,
comparison,
by
by
comparison,
comparison,
by comparison.
and far less interesting and far less variety.
Yeah, I mean, can you find the R and the X rated stuff? Of course.
Sure.
The X-rated here will be a little less um, optical. You won't be able to see it as much as you might if you were in Bangkok, Soy
Or
Cowboy,
Pattaya,
yeah,
or
or Phetchabun Road in Bangkok, Soy Cowboy, or Pattaya
or
in
or Patong in Phuket.
Phuket, yeah, Ban La Road,
There's also Patpong in Bangkok, which has some of that as well.
yeah, Patpong. Patpong's kind of
Well, it's
cleaned
got
up.
some. Well,
It's
it may have
it's
been clean. I
cleaned
haven't
up
been there
quite a
in years.
bit.
Maybe it's cleaned up.
Yeah,
I
it's
haven't been there in a long time.
there was an effort to clean it up. The nightlife in Chiang Mai consists pretty much of like the night bazaar, the Andaman, seafood market. You've got the bars and restaurants that are open at night, Loy Crow Road. Um,
Well, when I meant the nightlife isn't great here, what I meant is that when I first moved here, now not hardly at all. I don't go out at night, but I used to be into the nightlife, the bar scene.
yeah,
Bangkok. I actually wanted to live in Bangkok. I never actually wanted to live here. This was something that grew on me, and I moved here because I had a partner here at the time, and I had friends here, and I was like, well, I'll wait it out until I can find work in Bangkok. But what I mean by that is that the bar scene here and okay, the sleaze too, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Just isn't as interesting as Bangkok. You don't have the
no,
variety. It's just not as good. Um,
it's not as vibrant.
it's not as vibrant. It's not as big. It's a
I
smaller
mean,
town. But there may
vibrant
be
is the
small
word.
towns that actually have more activity than Chiang Mai and are less sleepy, I think,
Yeah, I don't
that are
think
a bit
so.
more vibrant. Chiang Rai is pretty good. Chiang Rai
Yeah,
for its size,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But it's actually worse than it used to be. I mean, when I first moved here, wasn't too bad.
yeah,
Now it's really quite boring
yeah, yeah.
because the good bars have closed up years ago and long before COVID.
But if you think about it too, and you look at the activities and stuff that are around, the paid ones that we're talking about, the touristy ones.
Oh, we're getting away from the bar topics now, right?
No,
Okay,
I'm
okay.
circle back. It's a this is more of a family city,
Yes,
and
yes,
that's the thing. You get the night safari, you got the Ratchapruk, the floral gardens up there.
yes. You have the zoo in
You have the
Shanghai Zoo.
zoo. I mean, these are family activities. Uh, there's no there's no soy cowboy here, and there's
Well, there's Loy
no
Crow, but it's
but that's
not
not
doesn't compare.
and it's not supported. You know what I mean? Soy cowboy is obviously has to be supported, and so
And Nana Plaza.
in Nana Plaza. There's not even an effort here to organize and centralize that sort of nightlife strip.
They don't really want it.
Well, exactly, and that's the point. Is they'd rather have a more family-oriented town. You go with your family to the temples. There's obviously, you know, no nightlife-oriented stuff at the temples, and most of them, I think, they close at night. You can't really go.
They close pretty early.
Yeah, so then and there's things at the temples like a monk chat where you can speak with the monks and find out how they live their life and stuff like that. Uh, it's just a family-oriented town. So yeah, they don't want the bars here. They really don't. It's very expensive, I've heard, to get into opening a bar.
Well, I'm sure it is in Bangkok as well.
Yeah, yeah. So
That doesn't mean Bangkok doesn't have family stuff. I mean, there's the Dusit Zoo,
there,
and there's
yeah.
plenty of malls, and Bangkok is not.
Yaowarat,
We don't want to imply that it's
Chinatown.
just.
I mean,
Why, it's
that's a
got a
huge
lot of stuff.
shopping area that has nothing to do with nightlife. It's awesome. There's the uh, Royal Palace,
Hmm.
Wat Po. Uh, I mean, there's where's the reclining Buddha? Is that in Wat? That's not in Wat Po. That's in the temple
I can't remember.
right
I've been there, but
right
I don't
there.
remember the
Yeah,
name.
I've seen it as
It's been
well.
so many years.
And there's a bunch of temples all throughout, different
Hmm.
temples. And if you go into Yaowarat, you've got I like the
A
Chinese
lot of those
temples.
temples you're mentioning are on the Chao Phraya River.
Yes.
There's many there.
Oh,
So
and the
you wanna
river
you wanna
itself.
take a boat tour down the Chao Phraya
Yeah,
River, and then you can see all
that's
that.
what I was just leading to. Is the river itself has boats, very inexpensive, and you can go the full length of
It's
the
got
river.
malls, outdoor malls,
Outdoor
massive
malls,
eating areas.
Asiatique. Have you been to
Yes, yeah,
Asiatique
that's
down there?
exactly what Asiatique. What would you call that? Like an outdoor mall? Or
It's like a mall with a pier. It's like
it's a yeah, but it's
Pier
all a bunch of
38 and
restaurants and
Pier
stuff.
38, Pier 39 in San Francisco.
Okay,
Uh, Restaurants, shops, and stuff, all sitting on the water.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, Asiatique. It's. I had dinner there. We took the boat ride. It's free. You go to Sapan Taksin, and you go past the actual paid boats to the Asiatique Pier, and it's a free ride to Asiatique. And then once you're in Asiatique, there's shops, there's restaurants. It's really nice.
You don't
Family-oriented
have to
stuff.
take a boat to get to Asiatique, do you?
You do not have to take a boat.
Because I got there and I didn't take a boat.
But if you're not on a vehicle, or you don't want to take a taxi, then the BTS has the stop right
Yeah,
there
yeah.
down to the water
Okay. And
on
there's
their
an
boat.
Asiatique
There is
boat.
an Asiatique pier
Okay.
and an Asiatique boat, just like the other boats, and they take you.
Okay. I've done the
Like
tours
a
quite a
half a
few
mile
times, but I
down
haven't taken the Asiatique boat.
yeah, it's 500, 600, 700 kilometers down on the water, and they circle around and drop you off. They come around like this and drop you off at the Asiatique Pier, and then you could walk into Asiatique. It's a really nice place to go, but it's family oriented. There's lots of family oriented stuff. Floating market, which is quite a ways away from Bangkok, but floating market there is wonderful. It's another tour type thing to take. But yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff to do here that you can't be bored. So I think that you've gotten the idea here. Uh, Lots of things to do in Thailand, lots of activities, activity groups. We mentioned some of the paid ones. There's even more than what we've mentioned. If you're coming here as a tourist, if you're coming to live here, uh, and you have an activity, don't worry. We didn't mention stuff like photography, but I know there's groups for that. So you can get together and do photography, or go out and do photography on your own. So lots of things that you can do throughout Thailand, all sorts of activities.
Remember to smash the like, share, subscribe, donate,
Yes.
and we will love you forever.
Yeah. But shout out to the Nigerian prince, right? We're still waiting on your Bitcoin.
Where's my horse head, man?
Yeah. No, you said he could send the Bitcoin in lieu of the horse head.
I didn't say in lieu of, but he certainly can send Bitcoin. We won't refuse
No,
that.
you did. You said it'd be better if you sent us a million.
Well, you can send both.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, send the horse head to Mario. I just want the million in Bitcoin.
I haven't seen any Bitcoin.
So
I haven't even seen shitcoin. Never mind Bitcoin.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything. So hurry up, Nigerian prince. Anyway,
you're losing credibility.
I think that's it for this episode. So we'll see you on the next one.
Ta-ta.
Adios. We're out of here.